Um, Honestly speaking, the funny thing about playing video games is if you can't hear them, you don't know how old they are, right?
True.
You don't know their gender, you don't know their age, you don't know their anything, their race, you don't know anything about them other than what you see, those words you see on the screen, right? So you tend to get a feeling of whether someone is young or not by the way they speak or the way they type, or do they use a lot of text speak? Do they use a lot of curse words and whatever? No, it's that sort of thing where you go, okay, you might be a bit on the young side, but ultimately my interactions with players tend to be I try to silence them with humor. So if someone says, "Oh, you must be hacking," I'll say, "Yeah, I'm hacking like I've got the crown jewels underneath my bum." Or something stupid, but it's just people. And then what happens is you get the people in the server on your side because they realize that you're just above all this rubbish.
Another week, another podcast. And this one I'm excited about. I'm very excited about because, we already have the answer to today's topic, life, the universe, and everything. And it's 42. But we have an amazing guest today, SgtDangerCow. And
Hello.
he's going to be breaking down the quantum physics of why it's 42. So you guys just stay in and get. No, I'm just messing with you. Today we're just going to be talking about various things, and we do have SgtDangerCow here, our guest. He is an EA Gamechanger. He is a content creator and an amazing pilot, a father, a husband, just to name a few of his accolades. How are you doing, SgtDangerCow?
I am, all things considered, pandemic, etc., doing very well. Thank you very much. I hope you're all well and that you're well yourself, Deadeye. So, how are you doing? I mean, this whole pandemic thing. How's it going for you?
I was lucky from the beginning to be labeled as essential. Both me and my wife. My kids took it a little harder. The two in college, they got laid off from their jobs during the pandemic. But we did good. Nobody has gotten sick. We've been doing really well. A lot of people have
Good.
had it worse, so I can't complain. How about you? Have you guys weathered it pretty well?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for us, because we're in the hospitality business, so we have holiday lets, and we struggle quite badly in terms of we've taken about a 60% hit on our earnings. We've had a couple of long-term earnings, long-term lets, sorry, over the winter, which have helped a lot. But yeah, like most people in that kind of world, it's been pretty crappy, to be honest. But aside from that, health wise, I've had it. My wife's had it. I've come out the other side of it now, and I don't have pretty much any symptoms now. I don't have any shortness of breath. I don't have any phantosmia. I don't have any of that nonsense. So I think I'm pretty much through it. So.
Now, did you lose your sense of taste and smell when you got it? I heard that happens to a lot of
Yeah,
people.
yeah. But weirdly, I had it quite that happened about day 4 of my symptoms. It wasn't like one of the early symptoms, and I knew I had it because I felt kind of like I had the flu, which is one of the other. You feel a bit kind of like low, your muscles are a bit achy, you feel a bit kind of like, ugh. um, and then like by day the headache was the worst thing by far, and then by day 2 or 3, I started this thing called what's it called? Cutaneous hyperesthesia, when your skin becomes really, really super sensitive, and that was incredibly painful. Just to like put any kind of top on my body was really bad. So I just spent most of my isolation in the bath because then I wasn't touching anything.
Almost like
With
a
my
sunburn, huh?
Oh yeah, and then some. It's like having someone drive an ice pick into every single pore of your body. It was unbelievably excruciating. And then the taste and smell thing is weird. It's very disconcerting because you
Uh-huh.
don't you don't you don't you don't taste anything, you don't smell it. So you walk into a room and it doesn't smell like a room, or you're eating food and it just basically tastes like water but with a bit of texture to it. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing.
It's something you take for granted, is the taste and smell. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we're gonna get into some questions first, but first, I met Danger. The first time I met you was at EA Play down in Hollywood, and instantly that was during an event to give some feedback, and I was thoroughly impressed. You were very thorough, taking notes, and I remember one of the things that we pushed to get implemented during that event was the compasses. Before there weren't any compasses in Battlefield on the mini maps, and as competitive players and people that use the teamwork highly, the compasses were the thing. So if anybody not familiar with Sergeant Danger, he contributes a lot in the EA Gamechanger program, and a lot of the things that you may see in game is a result of his feedback. But before we get into it, we're going to show a little clip here. Anybody who's played Battlefield 5 and has experienced a struggle of calling in a V1 rocket, you're going to appreciate this video. So we're going to roll this video right here. Sergeant DangerCow.
Well done, everyone. Well done. I think, smoking if you've got them. Just make sure you take care of each other's wounds and resupply ammo and whatnot. What do you mean you don't have any ammo? What do you mean you don't have any ammo at all, or well, you're not support? What are you? You're assault. Well, listen, Perkins, what have you got? You're assault 2. I see. Smith, you were a medic last time. No, you've switched to assault as well, have you? I see. Well, I'm assault, and all of you are assault, which means we don't have any medic, and we don't have any ammo. Now, this could provide to be a little bit of a problem later on, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, of course, if it's still there. Right. I'm going to pop on to HQ and order a Bally V1 rocket onto Delta. Hello, HQ. HQ, hello, how are you? Yes. How are Middlesex doing? 72 for 3. Oh, dear. Well, we're on a bit of a sticky wicket ourselves out here. We've just taken Bravo. We would like to drop a V1 rocket onto Delta. Yes. Yeah, immediately. I need to stand. Okay, so I need to stand up. I need to stand up and look out. Okay. No, hang on. I can't get them to work. Okay, they're working. Badly unfortunate. Let me try that again. Hello, HQ. Hello. Yes. Listen. I'm awfully sorry, but I was cut off last time. I was just trying to order the V1 in, and I got shot. Is there any chance I don't have to stand? No, you want me to stand in the open and look at the thing. Okay, well, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's just they don't work quite as smoothly as one would like, because, okay, no. Okay, no. Okay, I've got them. Okay, so I'd like you to put it over. Right. I need this one bloody more shot. And then I'm not doing this again. It's ridiculous. I don't care how many kills I get. Right, you, HQ, give me a... No. Don't you put me on hold. I don't care how many other people. I've been waiting here for this. Right. Okay, I'm nearly there. Okay, I've got it. Okay. And launch. Why aren't you launching? What do you mean the Germans have already put one up in the air? Well, how long do I have to wait? 25 seconds. I mean, this is a battle. I'm meant to be throwing things at them, throwing things back at me. It's not, it's not risk. It's battlefield. Well, I know. But, oh.
All right. So, yeah, I love that. That Danger, that was a good one. So getting into it myself, we are on the latter side when it comes to the gamer age. We are, I like to say, experienced. You know what I mean?
We're in the pension plan. We're in the pension plan ages and things. Yeah.
So, now, as somebody, when I first put my hand on a controller, I knew that was going to be something I was going to be into for a long time. It was original Atari back in the day. And I've played just about every system since. And, when I was a kid and I was playing video games was, for lack of a better term, what the losers did, what the people that couldn't play sports and things like that, did. It wasn't as widely as accepted as it is now. It was something that the slackers did, was play video games. And now, as a father, my kids have been raised up that the video games were out when they were born. They've had video games since day one, and it's a different culture. How do you find yourself adjusting to that? Because just like anything, just whether it's hunting or fishing or any other hobby that somebody might have, if it is abused, it can become something negative. But now video gaming doesn't have the negative stigmata that it did when me and you were growing up. How do you balance that and handle that with your kids?
It's funny, my kids are a lot more mobile oriented at the moment. They have a Switch, and they love playing games on there. What I find interesting now is that there's two things will happen. Either I'll play the game and I won't have a clue what's going on. I'll be completely inept at it. Or you'll have that wonderful moment, as any parent will have with a kid who games, when they come looking up at you all bright-eyed and said, "Dad, can you help me with this bit? I can't get through. I've been stuck on it for ages." And you just kind of swan in there, sit down and go, "Right, kid, give me that controller." Beep, blah, bloop, and you're done. And they just look at you like you're a god. And it's just so wonderful to be able to say to them, "Hey, have you thought about maybe looking in that pot there, or have you tried breaking that bit of the wall?" Because how games work, and you're just passing on those years of experience down to them. And in terms of actually them gaming, it's as a 45-year-old, like you said, we grew up when games weren't as accessible immediately as they are now. They're not in your hand all the time on your phone or on whatever. So I think we're growing up in a very different world to them. And so to try and say, back in my day, it was not like this, and you're doing it all wrong, and you should be outside more. It's like, yeah, okay, get them outside, of course, get them running around. Exercise is really, really important. But if this is something they want to do, don't stamp it out. It's the same with anything. It's like, why would gaming have less credence than anything else? Like you say, hunting and fishing. So you got to come out and learn how to hunt. Why would that take preference over playing a game? It's like it's a hobby. You want to do it. And okay, if in a survival situation, being able to beat Mario level 3 is not going to get you very far.
Right.
But at the same time, passion is passion, and I don't think you should knock that out of any children at all.
Well, and I think me and you also, or I know I probably do unconsciously look through a narrow lens, because I obviously don't hamper my kids' video game playing, and there would be no way that I could, because they would be like, "What are you talking about, Dad? You went to Sweden because you play video game, and things like that." There's some other struggles on the other side of that, when that you can put that out there. Now let me ask you this: how old are your kids?
So my eldest is 14. My second is very, like, a smidge away from 13, and then it's 10 and 5.
Now, does your 14-year-old, does he play any of the more competitive oriented games like Battlefield and things like that you play?
It's a she. Sorry, I should have said that.
Sorry.
It's girl, boy in age order.
Gotcha.
And so no, not yet. I'm not sure that my girls are massively interested in Battlefield. They're more sort of like anime based games or Mario games or Splatoon, stuff like that, which is a little bit more, or should I say less gory and less visceral than Battlefield. But my youngest daughter, my second eldest daughter is desperate to play Sea of Thieves with me. In fact, she's just she's been saving up her money because she's an actress and she gets jobs, and when she gets jobs, obviously she gets paid, and she's saved up a fair chunk of cash, and she wants to buy a gaming. So she said laptop. Of course, I shuddered and said, no child of mine will be using a laptop to game.
You've got to get a rig. Whoa,
exactly. Let's check this thing out. So anyway, so she's desperate to play Sea of Thieves with me, which would be wonderful. Although I'm not so keen on her hearing her dad curse out other players, for killing me or whatever. So we'll see.
Definitely some hurdles to navigate when you decide to play with your kids as opposed to playing with your crew. Well, so what I run into is my oldest is 21, my middle one is 19, my youngest is 15. And you were talking about, they get stuck on something and you come in there and bam, bam, you knock it out. Well, and I've run into what I run into with my boys, because they are all pretty competitive. They played a lot of the same shooters that I have. And what they'll do is when I jump onto a different game, the game that I was playing previously, like for example, my middle one, Rainbow Six Siege, that is his jam. He loves that game. Me and him played a ton of it together. And being a gamer, I was always slightly better than him. And so when I would play something else, he would get real good at it, over there, and be like, all right, Dad, let's go one-on-one. I'd still win, just because the experience. But we have reached a time now, once he hit about 17, 18, like I'm overwhelmed with pride that he is as sweaty as he is. But at the same time, I am scared to death to go one-on-one with him, because there's a good chance that he hadn't beat Dad yet. Last time we played, it was a tie, and it's by design that we haven't played again just yet. I've
got to be honest, right? So I play my kids at Mario Kart quite a lot because it's it's fun, it's easy. We just have a few rounds or whatever. My daughter beats me every freaking time, and it has gotten to the point where I have, to my shame, I have gone and quietly hidden myself away and looked up YouTube tips on how to improve my performance, because she's kicking my ass. And I'm saying, you must know some secret I don't know, because there's no
route
way
you're taking,
they know it inside out, and I am just sat there like quietly on the loo or something, just going, tips for faster, and it's like, God Almighty. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's like everything, though. I think there's a mantle to be passed, and like you say, you can be proud of how sweaty they are. Like my dad and me, our thing was, he got me into video games, and he very much did not like when I beat him. Like we used to play Quake and stuff, and one-on-one, and he hated it when I beat him. Absolutely hated it. But we used to play squash. That was our main thing. And ever since I was about 7. I was playing squash together. And then one day, I think I was about 16, and I had been to school. I'd had a few lessons at school because I'd never had lessons. So I was just kind of hitting a ball back and forth. And I had a few lessons at school, and suddenly he was struggling. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then, then I said to him next time we came down, I said, Dad, do you fancy a game of squash? No, my knee's playing up a bit, actually, boy. I'm not sure. Hang on a minute. So, and then of course, the next time we played, I was 18. So I was at that point, 6'1", built quite well because I was playing rugby all the time. I absolutely fucking smashed him. Excuse my language, but I absolutely smashed him. And he was not happy. He was like he was going, you can't hit the ball there. It's a let. And I'm saying, it's not though, is it? Because you're behind me and I'm dropping the ball. There's no way it's a let. Anyway, so it's just wonderful though. When you get to that point and you are being beaten, you go, you've got to say fair play. You can't be angry about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got a wonderful thing. Yeah. Yeah. Means you did a good job. Means you did a good job. So before we get any further into this, tell us a little bit about how you became a game changer. What got you into Battlefield. What kind of set you on the path to where you're at now, as far as the Battlefield series.
Okay, so I very lightly touched on Battlefield in 42. I mean, as in Battlefield 42, not as in the year 1942. Not quite that old. But my roots are actually in COD. I started playing with Call of Duty. That was when I was kind of really getting into first player shooters. And what happened was Call of Duty went from having private servers. This is a contentious issue, of course. Went from private servers to non-private servers to only public servers, and it absolutely wrecked our community. Our community just basically imploded. We said, well, we can't host anything, we can't kick people, we can't. And so we tried, but it just failed. And so I was kind of like bumbling around at that point, and it was when just when Bad Company 2 was being released, and I'd seen some trailers for it, and I went to the community and said, hey guys, so you maybe looked at this? And they were like, no, it's not for us. So I went, okay, I'm out. So I left COD. I left COD completely at that point and became full-time Battlefield. And so Bad Company 2, and then, Battlefield 3, and then 4. And 4 was when I had started doing my charity giveaways, like my graphics card giveaways and stuff like that. And I was just sat there, going, I just want to do something good with what I have. And I won't go into all of that, but I want to be able to do some good with and give back to the community that I've gained so much from. And that's when Bad Company 2 is when I found BSM, which is why I've got BSM SgtDangerCow as British Sergeant's Mess. And they're a community of guys, and they were all in Bad Company 2. They moved to Battlefield 3, and then when Battlefield 4 came out, the problems with it just kind of caused all sorts of issues. But I stuck with Battlefield because I kind of really liked the big spaces. I liked the fact that the no game was the same, that it wasn't like this kind of jump around, bounce around stuff. It was like you had a little bit of thought into it, and I liked all of that. So I stuck with it, and then I guess I don't really know why, but I don't know if you ever got told why you're a game changer or anything like this, but I was approached by I can't remember who. I think that's what it was. It was Dice Friends Tags, and I'd kind of got to know Westy a little bit, and I said, I was watching him play, and he was just getting absolutely slaughtered because everyone just wanted his Dice Friends Tags, and I said, thank God that I don't have Dice Friends Tags, and Jeff Braddock just said to me, I was laughing on my chair when you posted that because we were literally in the process of giving you Dice Friends Tags, and I was like, oh, that's very sweet. And then like a year later, I came out to LA off my own bat, and paid to come out and see what was what with EA Play, and Dan Mitri of the very much missed Dan Mitri and Jeff were there, and we were goofing around, and then the next year they said, why don't you come out as a game changer, but like not the top tier game changer. There's several tiers of it, and and then the year after that, it was come and be a proper one. That was Adam and Part Welsh and Just Big Lee kind of dropped that one on me. And I asked Lee, I said, why have you got an old git like me who's not, I'm not a big YouTuber, I'm not, and they said, basically, you're old. It's like you're not 20, and you've got a bit of sort of life behind you. It's like, oh, okay, well, at least it's not my opinions then. But I don't know. I just think for me, Battlefield has always been a community, and I know, there's toxic elements of it. Of course, there are, as there are with any community. I just find it a hell of a lot less toxic than others. So I stuck with it, and I've enjoyed it.
I agree. I think Battlefield has an amazing community, and that was a big reason why I was strictly Battlefield for such a long time. Is the community. Community was absolutely fabulous, and the interactions, and like you, I started on COD and then jumped over to that, over to Battlefield, and was just hooked from then on out. What would you say? You've been to several events. You've given a lot of feedback. What what have you seen implemented in any of the Battlefield games that you were just that you had a hand in, that because I've seen you're very thorough, you take notes, you really, and like you said, that your age, yeah, but I believe that the reason they brought you in due to your age is because, with experience, you get a little more thorough. You can give feedback without being negative about it. And every time I've seen you at an event, you're very thorough with what you present to them. So it makes it easy for them to digest. What's one of the things that you've seen come into the game that you may not necessarily have directly, got in the game, but that you worked on or you had feedback on?
I think mainly it's just, for me, it's about the flow of the game. So it's hard to put a thumbtack in it and say that was me. The only thing I kind of lay claim to it, but I'm suspicious that it was in the works anyway. Was when Hardline came out and I started playing that, I said it would be really good for the cars to be able to do like J turns and handbrake turns, and it wasn't in the game when it initially launched. I don't think it was anyway. But I said it would be really good if that was possible. And that then went into the game. So I don't know if that was me or not, but I like to think it was. But in terms of the actual game itself, I think it's just about finding like the balance of the gameplay for me was the main thing. So I'd say like, can we maybe push D flag slightly further up or further down the battlefield, or things like that. Or I'm not sure that having... One of my big things was, as you talked about pilots, I really felt that vehicles were being slightly left out of the thought process, particularly when it came to Battlefield 5. And when you go from Battlefield 1, where the vehicles weren't ever quite right, and the planes were okay, but they didn't have any throttle control. There wasn't. It was a bit too basic. So the skill gap element was there only because you knew how to turn faster, or in terms of, your maneuvers, you could maneuver faster or maneuver, out of a problem. And I think that's where I tried to concentrate, was mainly on the piloting side of things. So when Battlefield 5 came out and the planes were pretty rubbish, to be honest, I was like quite vehement about they need to be looked at. And I've always been... with tanks, I've always been about like the tank snipers, the guys who stay about a millimeter outside of their own base on a hill, and then just because they can do that. Yeah. And so when Battlefield 5 came out and the turret rotation the turret rotation speed was quite delayed. And I thought that was quite good, because it meant it wasn't like a primary weapon where it would just go and you'd be able to shoot. I thought it was useful to have a delay, so you had some sort of chance of getting around. And then they just said, no, we're going to put it back to how it was in Battlefield 4. And then everyone just started tank sniping. And I kind of like, I wish they hadn't done that. But then a lot of the people playing tanks were like, well, it's boring. I was like, well, how is it, how is it boring? How is it not boring just sat on a hill when you're taking a tank and you sit on the hill and you're on a hill and your team needs you to push a flag, But anyway.
Well, and I can't agree more. That's, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was where I come in as well. I didn't really touch 42. I think I went back and messed with it after the fact, but Battlefield Bad Company 2 was when I come in, and one of the things that I loved and enjoyed most about the game and got me hooked was the need for your team and for the other players. And being in the Gamechanger program and submitting feedback and seeing feedback from the community, you get a lot of pushback where people want their class to their role on the battlefield to be the best. And so, they're always trying to push for their stuff to be the best, to where they don't have to rely necessarily. You've got way less people saying, hey, I want to have to rely on my engineer. I want to have to rely on my air support. I want to have to rely on my infantry. You get way more people saying, no, I want the turret to be faster. I want reloads to be quicker. I want to be able to jump out and repair my tank or repair it from the inside. And so it is a tough tug of war.
It certainly is. And I think one of the things a Battlefield definitely faces is the streamability of it. because Battlefield isn't, like a lot of the reasons that these games like Fortnite and Warzone and that they've taken off is because they're very short, sharp shock things. So you might be playing for 25 minutes, but there's a character, there's like a story arc to it. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But with Battlefield, it's like there isn't really a beginning. Certainly from an individual perspective, there isn't a beginning. The beginning is you've got no flags, and in the end, you might have lost the game. But it's very hard to get a sense of the general flow of things. So that for me has always been a thing of like Battlefield need to find ways of making it more streamable. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is to that, other than for it to be fun and engaging and for people to have fun doing it. But at the same time, you've got to balance that with the gameplay being somewhat fair.
Well, and what I've seen kind of disappointing, I'm just going to hit on this just for a second because it is disappointing to me is what I've noticed a lot. I pay attention to a lot of streamers and I still watch some Battlefield streamers, and there's some really good ones out there that are really positive, but it seems like the biggest ones are the most toxic ones, the ones that not only are just toxic about what's going on, but it's almost like they hate the game while they're playing it, but that draws a crowd, them hating the game that they're playing draws a crowd. And that's not just with Battlefield. I've seen that on several other titles, and that, when it's going back to a game being streamable. If the game itself has good content and you're able to stream it and it's entertaining, then you don't have to fall back to that, to being negative or toxic about it for it to entertain. And I think that's what happens, when you have a game that is difficult to stream.
I mean, it's going to be interesting when you get to the point of having potentially 64 players aside, which is what the big gas about Battlefield 6 is there's going to be a lot more players on the battlefield. That was the sort of exact words out there, wasn't there? So I mean, it's very difficult, I think, to get any sense of the individual's effect on the game as a whole in terms of when you're playing it. And so when you give feedback, you tend to give feedback and stuff from your own point of view as well, don't you? If you're into tanks, you'll give it from a tank perspective. And it's a question, I think, of when you have people who hate on the game and driving their viewership up. I'm sort of I get that it's I can't believe it. And one of the big guys, Dr. Disrespect, used to do that all the time. He said, God damn, this game's so rubbish, and God, sort your crap out from whoever game he was playing with. And you go, well, there's a certain attitude of superiority that the big streamers seem to need to have in order to attract the followers. But for me, if you're being toxic, which it kind of is, then what is the community you're going to be attracting around yourself? And that it's I don't want that. If I ever become a big streamer, I certainly don't want to be a toxic one. I want to be somewhere where people can come in and have fun, and it may not get me 1 million views, but at least I'll know that people are genuine, right?
Right. When I stream, I'm the same way. I do it for the conversation and for the people and to just kind of hang out and enjoy my time playing with like-minded people. We're going to switch gears a little bit. And again, this is playing on both mine and your age. So the Battlefield community, by and large, in my opinion, and it's just the interactions that I've had, just the nature of the game, the way it works, it attracts, I don't want to say an older audience, but the community that's in Battlefield for the most part, from what you see, is older. Not, Call of Duty has a lot of squeakers, as they call them, and things like that. And Battlefield, you do run in from time to time, but in my opinion, it's less, or in my experience, it has been less. And since I've been playing a variety of games, I've been exposed to gamers of all ages and with all manner of attitude. You play Sea of Thieves, and that being a cross-platform as well, and geared toward, not necessarily geared toward, but I guess it is, with its the cartooniness of the graphics, geared toward a younger audience. How do you find your interactions with players that have a large age gap between yourself? and them?
Honestly speaking, the funny thing about playing video games is if you can't hear them, you don't know how old they are, right?
True.
You don't know their gender, you don't know their age, you don't know anything, their race, you don't know anything about them other than what you see, those words you see on the screen, right? So you tend to get a feeling of whether someone is young or not by the way they speak or the way they type, or do they use a lot of text speak? Do they use a lot of curse words and whatever? No, it's that sort of thing where you go, okay, you might be a bit on the young side, but ultimately my interactions with players tend to be, I try to silence them with humor. So if someone says, "Oh, you must be hacking," I'll say, "Yeah, I'm hacking like I've got the crown jewels underneath my bum." It was something stupid, but it's just people. And then what happens is you get the people in the server on your side because they realize that you're just above all this rubbish. And you're not going to turn the server into a place where people don't want to watch what's going on the chat. So this morning I was playing Battlefield 1, I was flying around and I was shooting this guy. And, I don't want to be disparaging, but he wasn't a very good pilot. And clearly I've had quite a lot of experience as a pilot. I'm not a brilliant pilot, but I can shoot planes down with mediocre pilots in them. And he kept calling me a hacker. He kept asking the server admin to kick me out, all sorts of nonsense. And he was saying, "You've got an aimbot," and I would say, "You've got a wonky eye," or your left nostril's bigger than your right nostril. Stupid stuff.
Yeah,
And people were just laughing because they're going, clearly, I'm not going to respond in kind, but they get it that, in terms of my interactions with people, I would say it's actually about 50-50. Like the squeakers tend to be, like in Sea of Thieves, a lot of the squeakers I find are actually quite reasonable, especially if they're new. They're quite grateful if you treat them nicely. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you just want to murder kill, right? But a lot of the times you'll go up and say, "Look, I'm about to log off. I've got a whole bunch of resources. Just take them and I'll crash my ship so you can have my ensign flag as well," or whatever. And they're quite, "Oh my God, thanks so much. That's amazing." I tend to find in Sea of Thieves, the ones who are more, they give you a bit of attitude, are the slightly older ones. And for some reason, they always tend to be the French players. I don't know why it is. It's always the French players. It's like I've hardly had an American or someone who isn't French come up and say, "Oh, you're really bad," or anything. But it's so funny. Maybe it's because I'm playing in a French area server that it's just survivor bias, but it's I find that a lot of the time, because it is anonymous, which is of course the great danger of these things, that it emboldens people to be, or at least to show a truer side of themselves perhaps than they would otherwise. And I do get frustrated sometimes when people just keep saying, "Oh, you're hacking, you're hacking, you're hacking, you're hacking." It's like, it does wear you down a little bit. But ultimately, you go, "Look, you're just some dude. I know the truth. What I don't want is for someone else to start going, 'Yeah, he must be hacking. Look at his score.' Or 'I know he's hacking,' which is, of course, a very dangerous statement because you don't, for a start. And secondly, I know I'm not. But what I don't want is to get any kind of a reputation in the community. So the great thing about being a DICE friend is you can just say, 'Have a look at my dog tags and tell me, do you think I would have those if I was a hacker?'"
Yeah.
And that tends to just shut them up because they go, "Okay, yeah." But I just, a lot of the time I think I don't know if I can tell the difference all the time. If someone has a go at me, I just think the general thing is just use humor and deflect it and just go, "Yeah, whatever, mate."
Well, I'm pretty similar. Every now and again, I'll jump in. The dad in me kicks in, and I try to talk some reason and things like that into them. Before we get into the next one, chat, if you've got any questions for SgtDangerCow, go ahead and post them here in chat. The moderators are going to be grabbing those. They're going to be sending them over to me, and we'll ask Danger about them. I've actually got a story about a young kid, and this was in Battlefield though. His gamer tag was Marine, and this was back when I ran a competitive team. I was the leader of TWD. And we had brought him in. He was real young. And whenever I've run a team or a community, I almost never put an age gap on it. Obviously, I put in, a warning. You might hear me talk like this or talk like that, what have you. But I like to keep it open to as many as I can. And I'll never forget this dude. His name was Marine, and he joined the team, and he was very, very young, but he listened like nobody's business. He did exactly what was asked of him every time we got in a match. He ended up I ran TWD for about 6 years. He was in it the whole time. You know, when he started when he was 12, when he was 14, he became one of our main squad leaders and went into competitive matches with us. And he continued on even after we shut TWD down. He turned 18. He joined the military. You know, he still calls me. You know, and this was somebody that was just a member of our squad, you know. And then, you know, about time he turned 17, 18 years old, he joined the military, and, you know, I still talk to that kid. Then at the same time, you know, you've got kids that are just completely disrespectful that, you know, you just got to walk away from those most of the time. But yeah. That Marine was his name, and he was a solid player, a solid kid. And I was just impressed with his age and his level of maturity that he showed, you know. And yeah, and his level of dedication, you know. He would often hop into our Discord, ask people for help with his homework. He even had his mom send in his report cards because we wouldn't let him play in a match if he was failing school, you know, because they was, you know, worried about his school and things like that. So I think if handled right, you know, the age gap between us veteran players and the younger can add a positive impact too, you know.
For sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of, yeah, like you say, you have to pick and choose who you're gonna you know, take under your wing. But I certainly think that there's a lot of players out there who just want someone to show them the ropes, or they just want to say, look, you know, I see a lot of videos actually, like Rust is one where you have people raiding communities, and there are these toxic kids who come out, and then this one kid was constantly attacked by these guys. They had no reason, you know, he had nothing, but they were just, you know, hanging on him. And he finally found this other community and said, look, I'm really sorry, I need some help. I keep getting bullied by these kids. They literally, all of them, there was like 30 of them, just turned up on the doorstep at the base of these two kids and wailed into them, just absolutely blasted the crap out of their base, out of them, nicked all their stuff. They brought this kid into the fold. They taught him what to do. And he's now obviously with them doing whatever. But it's things like that where you sometimes you see people are always going to be pricks if they're pricks. Okay, they're always going to be an arse. And very little, particularly on the internet, is going to change that. If they think that is how they are going to get respect, that is how they will behave. And that's down to, you know, grassroots stuff at home. That's not down to us as a community. The fun part comes when you can change someone who is like that and just say, look, you know, excise them from whatever is influencing that behavior and just say, look, there is another way. You can be a decent human being. You can let us show you the ropes. Let us teach you what to do, bring you in. And if you continue to be a dick, then you're out. But if you learn from us and you actually turn out all right, we'll keep you on. We'll make you part of the team. And I think that there is a line, and this is one of my big things, is because, you know, I say this is one of my pinned tweet about how gamers get a bad rap. Every time something bad happens, like there's a school shooting or something like that, right? They always look at he played video games. Oh, it's the video games. It's the video games, isn't it? Like, if video games influenced me as a child, I would be batting a ball off a wall and just moving horizontally or vertically up and down the screen. It's complete rubbish. And the idea, yes, you can be desensitized, but if it's already in your head to be like that, you will be like that. The video game has very little to do with it. And the WHO recently, before the pandemic, they would say video games bad. After the pandemic, they went, oh, actually, they're not. They're actually quite useful. They help people deal with issues mentally. And I say this to my wife a lot. She says, oh, you're playing games quite a lot. And I said, yeah, because if I don't, I'm going to go mental. I'm going to go mental. I have nothing to take out my competitive streak on anymore, apart from, I can't play squash because it's not allowed because of COVID. I can't play racquetball similarly. I can't play cricket anymore. I can't do anything else. And I can't play most of the stuff. Like I'm a competitive guy. That is my major fault is I am uber competitive. So I always want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. I'm not, but I want to be. And I think the thing is that sometimes not having the ability to prove that I can be better than someone else in whatever capacity, and that sounds stupid because it's a game and all the rest of it, but being able to beat someone in the air or get the drop on someone or outthink someone, which is actually where I take my greatest pleasure, is for me is key. I don't think I could deal without gaming because it is such a release from that sort of not having that anymore. Like an old, racehorse that's gone a bit of a stud going out to stud. I like an old racehorse that very clearly, in my case, been shoved in the corner of a field in a farm somewhere. Due for the shotgun to the temple soon, no doubt. But you can still run. The horse can still run, but he just can't do it as much as he wants to. So you've got to give him something else to do. Standing in a field ain't it. So the same thing. I don't want to be stuck in the corner of a field in a farm. I want to be running to the best of my capacity. And gaming allows me to do that.
It's like old Toby Keith said, I may not be as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was, type of deal. And yeah, I agree with that. And that's kind of why I've jumped into, just like you, I'm a huge chess fan. And I think winning a mental battle, I enjoy a lot more than winning a gun battle 90% of the time. And RP has a lot to do with that. RP, when you RP in a game like GTA or Red Dead or something like that, a lot of it is a long game. It's scenarios that are being played out that you have to navigate carefully and make decisions and moves. And that is, it's a mental game. And that I thoroughly enjoy that. Let's see here. Back, we do have a question here. Does your wife play games? Does she play video games?
No, she does not. It's
any
it's
kind?
sadness for me. None. She occasionally she used to play Crazy Golf on her mobile phone. That was it. And she's just never been in that world. She comes from a completely different background to me, and things like computers and things like that were just not in her life, early doors. So for me, I try to get her interested in things, but she just doesn't see it. She just doesn't get it, which is fine because I don't get a lot of the stuff I clearly do not get fashion. I don't get, it's for me, it's like I put on some clothes. Do they fit? Probably. Do they match? Possibly. Will anyone look at me and go, he knows what he's doing? Absolutely not. Not at all.
Right.
So she knows all the designers. She knows all this. She does that. But she does. Sorry, I've just seen a question pop up and I will answer it. She absolutely 100% do what I do, supports what I do because she knows it's important to me in the same way that you would support someone's passion, whatever it is. If you've got a partner, particularly a life partner, I don't know how long you guys have been together, but I've been with my wife now since, it's 25 years I've been together with my wife. Hello.
It's my youngest.
Goodbye.
Not on my end.
Well, Mom lost internet, then I lost internet like 2 minutes later. So you might.
All right. I'll keep an eye on it. Okay. Sorry about that.
No. I was just checking you're right. It's like anything. When you've been, one of the things I learned in a relationship is, in fact, it came from the guy. I think it was from the vicar who was going to do our service. He said, "Remember, you are two people. Remember that you are two people. You have different interests. You have different. You cannot expect to align one person's interests with another. You have a lot of stuff in common, and you love each other dearly. But the moment that you say, I'm going out and you are expected to come out, or I am interested in this and I expect you to be interested in this. No, I will be happy for you if you're happy, but I'm not going to force myself to enjoy something that I'm not ever going to enjoy, because that way misery lies and then you just become resentful. So I think for me, it's just support them 100%. And she does. She absolutely 100% supports what I'm doing.
I'm lucky enough to have a wife that supports what I do and my hobbies, and I support her just the same. It's a two-way street. Yeah, I'm not into a lot of things that she's into as far as some of the craft she does. But as far as games, my wife does play one game all the time, and that's Uno on her phone. And she's like number one in her bracket. She is about that life. Yeah. Yep. So I can relate to that as well. We had another question here. Do you have any plans on getting back into content creating? If you guys haven't seen Danger's Battlefield 3 ballet video montage, that is, I watched it just a little bit before the show, and if you've ever played Battlefield 3, it in a minute and 30-second basically is an in-depth tutorial of how to play every single class. In a minute and 30 seconds. It is absolutely amazing. So are you going to be doing some more stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that I am. I think YouTube is going to be more sort of funny idea videos like that Colonel ordering the V1, more of that sort of stuff. And I think for me, that's where I'm going to focus my YouTube stuff on. I'm going to probably create the Colonel character, flesh him out, and then do more of that sort of stuff. But I am coming back into streaming. I am going to be looking probably at Facebook rather than Twitch, just because I find it's a little bit more ahead of the curve. And I'm just, do you know what? I'm just going to have fun. It would be great if it pays out, a chunk of cash or whatever that I can stick in a holiday fund. But the reality is that for me, it's mainly just about having fun and talking to people I know. And it's, like the Game Changer program, the reason that the Game Changers are Game Changers is because they get on with other people. They're not egotistical numpties. And so, and the ones that are get weeded out pretty damn quickly. And it's like going into the best lobby of players because you're all there having fun. And if someone does well, you call them a bugger for doing well, but you congratulate them. You do well done, whatever,
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what I want. I just want a community that want to be there because they find me, if not entertaining, at least someone that they can talk to, or they can talk to other people, and they can just stick me on mute, for God's sakes. I don't care, but that's what I want to do. So I think streaming into Facebook and then YouTube will be kind of some Sea of Thieves stuff and some montage-based stuff, and then the Colonel.
Have you checked out Valheim or Valheim?
I have seen stuff about it. It looks like a kind of Ark-ish thing. Is that right?
Yeah. If you, it's in a little like Rust, kind of to an extent. But I mean, if you like sleeping at night and having free time, I would suggest not getting it. Because that will go away pretty quick. I picked that up and I got pretty hooked on it for a good minute. It's a very good game. So I had another question for you here. Oh yeah, so this is a personal question. Just out of curiosity, are you going to be giving away or getting any more of your SgtDangerCow plushies?
Well, I have got some SgtDangerCow plushies because I bought some because I thought it would be quite a nice thing to have as my kind of thing. And it's worked out. So people seem to like them.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
Do you want to do a giveaway on this for one?
Oh, that'd be up to Mizzy. That would most certainly be up to Mizzy. And you guys can see that DangerCow plush he's got on a shelf behind him back there. Right there. Yep, that's the one. They are awesome. They are most certainly awesome.
Do you have one?
Do I have one?
Yeah.
No, I do not. Nope. At Sweden, they were gone. They were gone before I got one.
Man, Sweden. Yeah. So, right. So that was so funny. I swear to God, right? I came over with 2 suitcases to Sweden.
Yeah, you had those big bags full of them.
Yeah. I had 2 suitcases. Literally, I had 4 days worth of clothes, and the rest was all, and 2 suitcases full of those plushies. It was ridiculous. And they went flying. So I mean, a lot of people have made pre-orders to get one, but yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, I mean, we can do a giveaway on that. And I'm just wondering, I might have something else. The things about plushies is they can go anywhere in the world, so that's fine. That's not an issue. So if you're in the States, whatever, I can send them over. A lot of people in the States actually have them.
So we have a mutual friend that I wasn't aware of, and we met completely not in the circle that you run in or I run in. Tiger Lily. She has a question here in chat.
I have no idea who that is. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Question. Move on.
Oh, are you sure? You sure you know what that would? Have you ever thought about RP Danger Cow? I mean, based on your V1 video right there, and your ability to improvise, and your ability to take your accent to the very like I saw in here, posh, I mean, I could see a lot of things that you could do and would find enjoyment from, but I have a feeling she may have hit you up about this before, huh?
I think we're talking GTA, right?
Well, yeah, any RP. Like I've RP'd in Red Dead Redemption as well, which I don't know if that's a game.
I've got that. Yeah, do you know I went through all the bloody hoops to get that game because Jersey for some reason is not seen in some of the sort of studios. This place can buy it, and so they don't let you buy it. So I had to get a VPN just to buy the damn game. I think in terms of doing it, I don't mind. I think it would be quite fun. My danger with it is, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, especially Tiggy, who I love dearly, but there is a danger, I think, when you're role playing with someone else, that you start to spend more time with them than with the people that you should be spending time with, and that would be my only concern. And not for instance, not for a moment thinking anything untoward would happen, but you just that thing of, I would worry about that. But it would be hella fun. It would be an absolute blast even if we just set 2 hours aside to just go out as a crew and have fun. It would be hilarious. I worry about Tiki gets quite involved in it. Like she was talking about when she was a police officer and she had to learn all the that's a 510 or something like that.
That's the 10 codes. Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't got time for that. I've got children. I've got a business. So I haven't got any of that kind of time. But it would be fun. It would be fun just to be the bumbling posh kid in the background. Hello.
Yeah, I think you'd kill it. I think you'd kill it and there's a lot of people that do that. So you have a couple of different types of RP. You have people that will go in and RP a character for a very long time, and then you have people that go in and they'll bring multiple different characters in and just RP them for a very short amount of time, and then that character is gone or whatnot. And yeah, I think you would find some enjoyment out of it if you jumped. It's a blast. I have a lot of fun with it.
I do miss GTA. I miss the wacky races in GTA. I used to do that with the BSM guys, and that kind of fell by the wayside as well. But I love doing those. They're just hilarious. Like when you're riding a bike and then suddenly you're driving a car and then you're going up a beach, and I just loved all that stuff.
All right, let's see here. So here's a good question, and I often find myself sitting back and thinking about what I have learned from my children. What would you say you've learned from your children in regards to gaming? I know for me, a lot of it is lingo. Like some lingo will pop up. I'm like, what does that even mean? What's Keck W, and then, one of the kids come in real quick with it. Do you have any instances of that?
I think the best thing about just like my 5-year-old is just a natural born comedian. And so he says stuff sometimes. And he just comes out with things like he goes, "Oh, baby, yeah." I'm like, where do you get that from? I've never said that ever in my life. And he's, "I've got you now, Dad. I'm coming up on the inside. Yeah, eat my dust." I'm like, "You're 5. You shouldn't know these words." And it's just generally for me, it's just remembering that being a kid and enjoying something purely for itself is one of the most important parts of gaming. Is for me, it's like being a game changer. When you come out, when you do all the feedback, that's fine. But I remember the first time it was in EA Play London when they still did London, and I got my hands on Battlefield 1 for the first time, and I was just sat there absolutely grinning. I had the biggest smile on my face because it was just tremendous fun. And it was like blasting around. The visuals were spectacular. You know, everything you wanted to do was there. And and there's a mild profanity coming up, so you'll have to forgive me. It won't be bad, but there is a mild profanity. Mind your profanity. So basically, I tweeted out, "I'm sorry, it's hard to tweet with a massive throbbing erection." That was that was my reaction to Battlefield 1, because for me it was just this. It just infused itself into me. I was like, "This is what I wanted. It's spectacular. It's fun. Things are blowing up. Thank God, they got it right." Apart from the gunplay, but it was just fun, and that's what playing with my kids, playing Mario Kart. When they beat me, I'm gutted beyond belief. But it's just listening to the delight they have when they beat me, or the delight they have when they hit me with a shell. Anything, and it's the delight of it. It's not gaming to be a famous Twitch streamer. It's not gaming to make YouTube content. It's gaming for gaming, just to have fun. And that is for me, the one thing I would take away. And it sounds trite and very saccharine, but it is one of the things I definitely take away from gaming with my children, is just remember it is a game and it's there for fun, not obsession.
Yeah, and they most certainly will help you remember that. I'll often, be coming from my office to the kitchen or something, and I'll hear my youngest in there, with just.
Uh-oh. Deadeye has crashed, everyone. I think Deadeye's internet is gone. Oh.
Do you want me to jump in?
Everyone, I think you're just going to bear with us for a few seconds here, because Deadeye's having some internetical difficulties. He's got to turn himself back on and off again. So if you can all just hang on. Bring us home, DC. We've just got the hour and a half left.
Internet crashed, yeah.
Time for a live skit.
Well, what did you have for breakfast?
I don't even remember. I'm that old. What I had for breakfast was just nothing. It was I think it was an Alpenbar. I'm trying to watch my calories. Ugh.
It's down. I think I need to jump in here. God damn it.
How's the weather?
I'm not prepared. Give me 1 second.
I would tell you a joke.
Sing.
I basically sing. Sing, she says, like I could just sing any song. Let me see. me. No, it's not going to happen. What's my favorite spot on Jersey? Oh, that is a difficult one, but I think it's probably El Tico. Obviously, I can't have my own home, but El Tico, the terrace at El Tico overlooking St. Juan's Bay is just amazing, especially at sunset. You've got the sun hits right down the middle of the bay, and it sets right over the water, and you get all the surfers sitting on their boards watching it, and it's a fantastic spot. It's like 5 miles of beach, and it's pristine and clean, and it's so massive there's hardly anyone on it. I mean, you could fit the whole of Jersey on that, like 5 times over. So in terms of the population of Jersey, which is great. I do love that beach. Who's your favorite person who's called Lily? Lily of the Valley, I think. Oh no, it's a person. Lily Langtry, famous Jersey actress and authoress, would be my favorite Lily. You're right in the top
He,
20, I guess, Tiggy.
he is
So
coming back,
he's coming back. He's coming back.
but he has to restart. Restart everything. Shall I jump
Uh,
in till he's back, or?
Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, chat, if you want to ask any questions, where would you like to travel to if you could? Definitely I have a thing for the Chinese terracotta warriors. I do not know why, but I have obsessed about those things for ages, and I would love to go to China and see those. I mean, I just in awe at the fact that it happened so long ago and it was all built, and what we see is just like a postage stamp size thing compared to the rest of it. The idea of it, I just love that. And I've been to a lot of places in my life, and that's definitely China is, and the terracotta warrior is definitely one of them. How do I take my tea? I take it
So many
black.
questions.
I like Earl Grey tea. That's my favorite kind of tea, and I take it black, no sugar.
Oh
Because
wait,
I
are
don't
you
think you should perverse it.
are you putting me on camera? Then I need to stop my camera. I don't know what he's doing
Have
there.
I realized one of my dreams? I wanted to be an RAF Red Arrow pilot. That was my only real dream. No, I have not managed it. It ended up just not going to happen. I hadn't got the temperament for it, and B, I didn't have the mathematical ability for it. Hello, Gabel. How are we?
Hello there. Yeah, I'm not set up properly. You see, I just throw the green screen behind me.
It looks very professional. Look at
Yes,
you.
yeah, right.
And you're drinking water as well. I'm having
I
a
switched to water.
cider.
Yeah, I switched to water. I thought this looks better. How you doing, guys? Well, I have a question for you, actually.
Go on.
Want to hear a question?
Go on.
Um, Actually, you talked before about you have your own business. Are you worried about like financial crisis coming up because of COVID? And did you like take measurements or anything like prevent that for yourself personally? Like I'm just personally interested in that because I feel stuff will happen the next 2 years, and I don't know what you think about that.
I pay people who are much cleverer than me to look after my money.
Oh, that's good.
The big tranches of it. In terms of the business, we're always looking ahead of what's likely to happen, but it's very difficult to, particularly with COVID, where everything seems to be changing quite quickly. Like the laws and the regulations all seem to change really quickly, and it's difficult. You might spend a lot of money saying, right, we're going to do this. Like the guys who run my gym, they spent a lot of money on COVID regulations and making sure they were all within COVID regulations, and they still got shut down. So they spent, £5, 6, £7,000 on making sure everything was right, and still got shut down. So they lost that money because there was no point to it at all. So
Yeah.
we don't try to plan too far ahead. What we are doing is looking at alternative ways of getting people into our holiday lets, and for the majority of it, actually, it's people who are moving to the island and need 4 months here or 4 months there, and you just knock a bit off the full rental price and they go in. So it hasn't been too bad, but I think it's just about diversifying, just finding different ways of making money from what you've got, basically.
Yeah, I have the feeling anyways, like in point of like it has so much has changed if you look back like 40 years. Like with my parents it was pretty easy. Like you either learn what your parents learned and do that, or you find something and stick with that for the next 50 years, right? And I feel like we are coming to an age where you have to be more flexible. You have to be able to change your mindset about who you are and who you want to be the next day, maybe even. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
certainly true. Yeah.
and that's very difficult, like
Yeah.
reinventing yourself. Like humans are, we all have our habits, right? And habits is the most difficult thing to change. And a habit can also be, this is my job, I do every day. So that's very interesting indeed.
Yeah, I
Um,
think certainly it's difficult, particularly if you're in a vocational job.
mhm.
You know, that's something you've trained all your life to do, and you've spent your whole life doing. So you know, like, not to, I don't like saying it's easier, because it's a very objective thing from my point of view to say it's easier for an accountant to be a waiter than it is for a waiter to be a rocket scientist, right?
Yes.
It's that sort of thing. And so you can be, if you're a vocational job and it's suddenly taken away from you, it's very hard to find um, similar work elsewhere, because the logic follows that if you've lost your job because you aren't needed, other people will be losing their job in the same field because they aren't needed.
Mhm.
And the way, I mean, remaining positive in these times is difficult. It's a massive problem for a lot of people. And the way I look at it is, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by everything in front of you. And when we eat food, we don't put the whole meal in our mouth at one time. We take a little bit, we chew it, we swallow it, then we move on. And that for me is exactly how it is, um, with life and the problems in front of you. You deal with the bits you can deal with. The things you can't, like if you've lost your job, you can sit there and you can be upset about it. And of course, you have absolutely right to be upset about it. But like someone said to me, you know, if you imagine, it's that old thing of a life being an hourglass. The top of the hourglass is the life you've got left, and the bottom of the hourglass is gone. You're never going to get it back. And if you're worrying about that sand in the bottom of the hourglass, you're wasting the sand that's still going through. So some point you can be upset and you can be angry and you can be hurt about losing your job, losing your finance, you know, or things being difficult. And we've all been to that position. We've all been in a position where life just feels like, what the am I bothering to?
Yeah.
But you carry on. You put one foot in front of the other. You just bite off those chunks. Don't waste energy worrying about what you can't change, because you can't change it. You can, you know, you can push against a brick wall for the rest of time. You're never going to move it. You can't change it by how long you push against it. You're not going to change it. It's the same thing with these things. Just take a step back, breathe, and just figure out, what can I do to make things better? Can I find a job in the interim? Do I have the humility, which is an important part in these things? Do I have the humility to turn around and say, you know, I need some help, or I'm not going to be paid £100,000 a year anymore. I'm probably going to take a job at slightly above or at minimum wage or whatever. And that's going to be difficult to swallow as well. Pride is a big hurdle for all of us to get over with these things. That
Feel
all being said, it's very easy for me to say that because I'm not in the same situation financially as the general person.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end, it's whatever problem it is, if it's financially or a breakup or, whatever it is you're struggling with in life, it comes down to the power of now. You have only power now to change something, to do something. You can't change the past, right? And I think, I mean, it's always easier said than done because we feel hurt, we lost something. But letting go is also something which makes you free, you know?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I love the thinking of hindsight window. What is a good thing coming out from that? And sometimes we don't see it in that moment, maybe. Or yeah, probably nobody sees that in that moment. But eventually, when we look back, when I look back to so many stories of mine, where I thought like I'm heartbroken or whatever it is, and now I'm looking back and I don't have this feeling anymore. But I look back, I think, oh, good that I experienced that because I learned this and this and that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think this is also something which comes over time when you age. I mean, I'm going to 40, you are over 40, if I may say that.
No, I've already said it's fine. Don't worry. It's no secret that I am above the age.
I mean, we can switch, right? So, but I think this is definitely something which you learn by getting older. And when I was in the 20s, everything was, or many things were much harder. Like I don't know, when you lose a job or whatever happens, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so we don't know, by the way, quick update, guys. We don't know if Deadeye is coming back. He's trying to figure it out still. He has an ISP outage. He's calling them right now, trying to figure it out. So I have to improvise a little bit. Guys, just if you have any questions in the chat, just keep up, bring them. And Joe, do me a favor, just DM me the questions through Discord, because I need to keep up with a lot of stuff spontaneously here right now, but we will manage that. Um, I just bring another question. If I miss anyone in chat, I will bring it later. Let me have a look quick. What do we have here? Do you remember still? We talked on the pre-show or no pre-talk about it. Like, and you said something to me like, I hope I may repeat that. You said something like, when you have sex the first time, you have to be ready to be a father.
Yeah.
Guys are laughing now, right now. I can feel it. Do you think you were ready to be a father when you got your first kid?
Oh no, not at all. I'm still not ready, and I've got 4 of them. You know, it's the thing about I still look at my kids and go, Jesus, I am actually a father. This is frightening that someone of my complete ineptitude and lack of any kind of common sense is allowed to be that. And that's the crucial thing. Anyone can be a parent, right? If you have the biological ability to do it. I should obviously temper that with, but anyone can be a parent. You don't have to be a genius to be a parent. And it's a responsibility, the likes of which you will never, ever replace anywhere else. You know, you could be a heart surgeon, fine. You've got the molding of a human being. You may have someone's life in your hands as a heart surgeon, but you've got the molding of a human being in your power. And that is a awesome and frightening and wonderful responsibility. But it is true. I mean, most people, when they have sex, all they're thinking is, oh, I'm going to have sex. But in that moment, you've got to be prepared that there is a small possibility. However, you know, if you're taking precautions or whatever, there is a tiny possibility that you may become a parent. And and it's a weird kind of downer on the occasion, let's say, but it is one of those things that it's just, blimey, if I had gotten that person pregnant, I would have to have those responsibilities. So I don't know. I mean, it's just.
No, I just was reminded because, like, from the mother perspective, like, I mean, these days, you know, you do courses up front, you know, you have how do you call that? A nurse? Do you call that nurse in English? Like, who helps you after birth with stuff? I don't know how you call that in English, actually.
Midwife.
A midwife. Thank you. So you have a midwife, you know, you have all kinds of stuff, and they're all, you know, give you advice, and some of them make sense for you and some don't, because your kid is, you know, every kid is unique at the end, and you need to figure it out yourself. And I think you have to get rid of this belief, I'm ready. Nobody's ready. You know, like, and every kid is different. Like, I mean, I have only 2, but both are completely different, you know, or were completely different, like in what they needed, you know. And like, my daughter was super easy. She just, you know, the first year she was basically pooping, eating, and sleeping. And when she wanted to sleep, she doesn't want to have anyone around her. I just needed her to put to bed and then close the door, and that's it. And my son was the opposite. He wanted to be carried around all 24 hours. You know, he drove me nuts. You know?
Yeah, we had that as well. Yeah. My son is exactly the same.
And that's very interesting. And I was just interested, like, from the father perspective, I feel like it's different, but probably also the same.
I think, well, the difference, of course, with a father and a mother is that the father isn't physically attached to the child for 9 months. So there's always a bond there that a father will never, ever, ever have. And so when you're presented, I remember when my daughter was presented to me, she looked like Yoda. You know, she was like all swaddled up, and she was like the child from The Mandalorian, right? Obviously not physically, but you know what I mean, that sort of thing. And it was just, you look down, you go, Jesus, I don't know what I'm doing. No one's got a handbook, and you can read all the books you like. And this is one thing actually I tell every prospective parent. So don't listen to the books, listen to your child, because your child will always tell you so much more than the book. And there are theories about, making sure your child knows they love them and all this sort of stuff. And there's a great little poster in my youngest nursery. And well, he's at reception now, but in that kind of building. And it says, the most important parts of the day when you should maximize your physical impact with your child by giving them a hug and a kiss or whatever is when they first wake up, when they go to school, when they come back from school, and when they go to bed. Those 4 times are the times where you should make absolutely obvious to the child that they are loved and they are cared for. So you give them hugs, you give them kisses. And like every time with my youngest son, my son, George, he goes in, he wakes up in the morning. I give him, he comes in, he says, "Morning, Daddy." I give him a big cuddle, say, "Hey, darling, I love you." And he says, "Love you too." And he toddles off and does one. It doesn't need to be a big show of affection and a big, 20-minute discourse of how was your night or anything. Just that simple act of give him a cuddle, give him, a love and stuff like that. And he then goes into school, and we have to now, because things have changed because of COVID, we have to drop them at the entrance, and he runs off into the school. But he will always run back out. And because I know he's always going to run back out, I never go. I never say to him, "Look, I can't hug you again. I've got to go." I will wait until he comes out, has his another hug, because it's important to him to know that I'm going to be there, that I love him enough, that I will put off things for him. And it's the same with all my children, but it's just at that age, it's obviously the formative year. And so those things are like, and every night just before he falls asleep, because you can tell, what it's like, you can tell when your kid's just about to fall asleep at that age, because they're moving around, and then suddenly they stop moving and they go quiet, and you go, aha. Wine time.
And now you're gonna be quick.
It's like, hands quiet, backing out the room. But it's, you just know that they're going to sleep. And every time, just when he goes quiet, I just say, "I love you, George." And he always comes out with, "Love you too, Daddy." And then boom, gone. And it's just a wonderful moment, because it's between you and him, or you and your child. And it's just wonderful. And so when you see, these moments, you've got to grasp them. You've absolutely got to grasp them. And they teach you so much about yourself as well, like what your
That was. I have to ask you something, because you just said it. That was one question I had. What is? Can you tell me things you learned from your kids?
What I learned was,
which made you grow as a person. Sorry, I should
for
have
sure.
said that.
No, I get that. I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier, but what I learned the most was about empathizing with someone else's passion for things. So it's very easy to be, when someone says, "Oh, I really enjoy this," is to go, it's not for me. I don't really get it. Or I don't, I find it all a bit stupid. Right? It's very easy to do that, particularly with children who are coming at you with stuff like George will come in and he'll say, "Daddy, look, I made this dinosaur balancer," and it's a stick. It's literally just a stick with a dinosaur on the end of it. But for him, it's the whole world. And look what I've done. This is amazing. This invention of mine. Or, "Daddy, I did you know that such and such and such?" And he's asked you this 1,000 times. Or your kids have said, something. They're passionate about it. And it's very easy to be dismissive as a parent, because you have got a lot of other stuff going on, particularly when you've got multiple children. And it's very easy to go, "Yeah, that's really nice, darling," and just look away. And I remember this moment very clearly. It happened like 3 or 4 years ago, when my second daughter was 8. And she came and said, "Oh, Daddy, look at this drawing." And I literally went, "Oh, that's really good, darling. Well done." And then carried on with what I was doing. And she said, "You didn't even look at it." I said, "Yes, I did." And she went, "Well, tell me what was on it." And I told her exactly what was on it. But unfortunately, I've got one of those memories that can just ping things, and I kind of remember them. but I told her exactly what was on it. And she says, so you did look. And the look that the look in her face of absolute joy that I had actually taken that time to say to her, even though I was busy, to say, A, that was good, but B, to actually take the time to empathize with her passion was a massive eye opener for me. So now when my children come to me, not that I was dismissive before, but I'm even more take time to try and say, hey, that's amazing. Well done. How does that feel? You know, what did that make you do? Or how's your friend such and such? Because the moment you start crushing your children's passion or not showing interest in it, or saying to them, you know what, is it really worth spending time on these stories because they're not going anywhere? The moment you do that, you die as a human being. For me, because I cannot understand why you would take a child and say to them, you're worthless, or what you love is worthless. Because if we can do that to a child, we can do that to everyone. And if we do that to everyone, then what's the point of anyone doing anything? You might as well just trudge through life and not do anything, not be passionate about anything, and never be pleased. And I always tell my children, be pleased for other people's success, not jealous. Find it inspirational, not jealous. Don't be jealous about it. Try and say, if someone's beaten you, turn around and say, well done. And in your head, go, right, what do I need to beat them if I want to beat them? Do I need to be faster? If I want to be faster, how am I going to be faster? You know, if it's just a running race or something. But always, always be inspired by people's success. Do not resent it, because other people's success is not the reason for your failure. And it's one of the greatest things that I've taken away from being a dad. Sorry, that was a very long-winded way of going around what I was trying to say. But
No, but that was good. I like that. Also, I mean, what do you gain from it, right? I mean, if you shut them down, they will stop talking to you, and that's the least thing you want, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they won't share with you anymore. um, is there anything? Do you have like a routine or a habit during the day? Like, do you work out or meditate or anything at all where you say, this is what I do daily to keep me mentally healthy or healthy in general? What you do for yourself?
I draw boundaries. That's what I do. I draw boundaries. So if I'm not going to do something, I will say I'm not going to do this. And I think that is probably one of the healthiest and least done things as humans that we do. A lot of the time, we will turn around and say, right, I've got to do this, or I've got to do this, or someone's asking me to do this. More specifically, someone is asking me to come and do this, or someone is asking me to come and, you know, do this thing that I haven't got time to do. So the best thing to do is turn around and say, I'm sorry, I haven't got time to do it. And they can deal with that how they want. That's up to them. They can be arsy to you, they can be pleading, they can do it, but it's up to you to draw that line and say, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Or you're going to say, yes, I am going to do that. I mean, obviously the line has two sides to it, but drawing boundaries and knowing what I have to do that day is quite important, because as I said to you before about biting chunks of a meal, you don't eat it all in one go.
Yeah.
It's about, I find that schedules, although it sounds counterintuitive, scheduling stuff frees you up a hell of a lot more, because you know that things have been done in a logical sequence. They are done. If they're done, then you can do what you want with the rest of your time, rather than just kind of floating around trying to do 101 tasks at the same time or being distracted or whatever. And I haven't been diagnosed, but I have mild, I think, ADHD sort of thing. So I get very easily distracted with stuff. And I'm not very good at carrying on a task through to its end. And so for me, I have to have that schedule. I have to have that structure. And once I have the structure, I can work and I can progress and I can do everything I need to do. But it does free me up on the other side. And I do, like, so if I want to spend time with my wife or my kids or whatever, I've got that time to do it. If I want to come and game, I'll say to my wife, you know, if she's watching TV and she watches these, you know, Housewife of Cheshire and stuff like this, and so Cheshire and stuff like this. She watches those, I suppose, and I'm not really interested in that stuff. You know, I just find it. And look, don't get me wrong. It's not her gospel TV, but she says it's her brain off stuff. And I said, okay, well, that's what gaming is for me. It's my brain dump. I can just not think about stuff, and I can just play the game and enjoy it and have a chat with some friends. And that it's like, it's why we
I
used to
get
go
it.
to
I
the
get
pub. It's why we used to go to the pub
Mm.
or whatever, right? So anyway,
No, I love it. We have the same discussion sometimes. Like, I mean, but I do it on both ways. No, but I think boundaries is definitely a good point. For myself, I need to work on that. That's for sure. It's something I need to challenge more for myself and to say no. Maybe it's also a woman thing that we have to learn how to say no more. I don't know. Um, I have one more question actually from Deadeye. He just sent me a
okay.
question. Are you wait, did I hear something? He's back? Oh. Um are you looking forward to Battlefield 6? And what do you hope to see in the game?
Oh, okay. So
That's a completely switch here.
it's okay. So the thing about this is, I tweeted this out a while back now, but there have been a lot of leaks and a lot of sort of supposition and things. Is I don't want to pay any attention to anything until we see a trailer
Yeah.
or we see
There's
some
nothing to
visual.
talk about really
Yeah,
right now.
because what the danger has always been with these things
Yeah.
is the community gets itself into a whirlwind of this is what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and the community is, well, I'm very disappointed now because
Mhm.
the thing that I expected to be isn't there. And that's not the fault of DICE or EA or anyone else. It's just the community just kind of building itself and building itself up. And DICE have been relatively good about maintaining the information drip feed, which, the EA earnings call, when they talked about, massive scale never seen before, they've dropped little hints of that it's going to be much more players and stuff. What I want more than anything, and I've said this millions of times, what I want is a theater of war which DICE own completely. And what I mean by that is a modern day shooter people are just going to make comparisons to Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3. I think a lot of people don't want to go to a historical shooter. And there are lots of reasons for that. Mainly, I think it's because of the historical accuracy whiners brigade, and I won't have any truck with them. What I want from Battlefield is a game where Battlefield can say, this rifle, we've invented this rifle. It doesn't exist. And so we can then have complete proprietary claim over how that gun works. So you don't get people coming along and saying, "Oh, well, that gun would never work like that," or "That gun
Yeah.
is far too fast firing," or it's whatever. It would never be like this, because there was this massive thing about historical accuracy in Battlefield 5, sorry, which I never understood, because DICE have never claimed to be historically accurate. They've claimed to be, or at least tried to be, as faithful as possible to the era in terms of how things looked. But, Battlefield 1 was riddled with stuff that didn't exist in World War One, and no one complained about it. Suddenly Battlefield 5 comes along, so, oh, that gun can't possibly have women fighting in the battlefield, I won't have it. Come on. There are bigger things to worry about than whether someone's got a willy or not. It's just preposterous that these things are
Do
even
you
discussed.
really think they're me personally, I was looking forward because I thought, like, yeah, finally I can take a woman as a character because I'm a woman. Yeah, that was clearly for me
And
a positive thing. Um,
I'm sorry, I never understood that. I never understood why people got so offended by the fact that there were women in the game. I, for the life of me, cannot understand. So most blokes my age play Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider, right? And you're playing as a woman. I don't remember any bloke going, "Oh, I'm playing as a woman. I'm not going to play that."
yeah.
It's preposterous.
hmm
And the idea that women weren't as prevalent on the battlefield as men. Okay, granted, they weren't, but they were there and in numbers. And why the hell, in this day and age, should women not be allowed the chance to play as women? It boggles my mind that anyone would have a problem with that, which is also why I have this thing about Battlefield, the next Battlefield being slightly tweaked, slightly more futuristic, not lasers and stuff, but
Yeah. Me too.
more
Modern.
futuristic.
Modern or slightly futuristic.
Yeah. So you've got the idea that women in the military is not some huge problem. You've got the idea, perhaps you could even have now with people who don't want to be any particular gender, or you could have aliens. Who the hell knows what's coming? But if Battlefield produce a game where there are aliens in, let's say it's set 100 years from now, and there are suddenly aliens have come out. I mean, are people going to complain about that? No, because why not? Because they can't, because it's not a theater of war that is represented within the sphere of knowledge now, which is why I think that DICE need to towards that side of things. But I mean, me being me, I know nothing really of these things, and like I said, I haven't really kept my finger on the sort of leak pulse.
I mean, there's one more thing to social media and complaining. I heard this. It was like a TED talk, but it was not a TED talk about how to be a community manager these days and what to look for. How to handle social media. And he told a story about Destiny. And he said, like, one thing about a community manager is you have to see, I mean, you have to look, of course, if you want to see how is the community dealing with that game. And if you looked in social media, you could see on Reddit at that day when Destiny came out that people were, giving negative comments about the game, right? So you saw negative feedback about the game. But if you looked at the numbers, how many games were actually sold and how many hours actually people played, I think he said something like um 3 hours, average 3 hours a day, 3 million copies sold. So the game was clearly a success. All right. So my question, why I'm saying this is, if you look now to Battlefield, all right, and you see, I mean, I'm not saying Battlefield 5 is a great game or is not a great game. That's not the point. But I'm just saying we tend to jump sometimes on this train because we see, especially we are very limited to our friends list on Twitter, for example, right? Because I only see in this little line, what my friends are saying. So if I'm now assuming because person A, B, C, doesn't like this or that, and then I'm saying like, well, this game is shit. The whole community doesn't like it. And I think this is what's wrong many times. People jump on a hate train because they see 1, 2, 3 more or 5 comments and say, well, the whole community thinks this game is bullshit, or this sucks, or we don't like women in this game. And this is very difficult for me. I'm not saying that there couldn't be a truth behind it. I'm just saying it's not black and white. And it's very hard sometimes to see, what's going really on.
Yeah.
And that's also very interesting. Let me have a look, Craig. But I think we are going about to end this here, guys. If you in the chat have another question for SgtDangerCow, please go ahead, ask. Danger, if you have a question, by the way, you can go as well.
I would actually like to know what people are expecting of BF6, if they've allowed themselves to join on the hype train, the leaks, or if people are trying to ignore it and just see what happens. Because I'd like to know whether people are thirsty for information that they will want to know, they're happy to be misled, or whether they think these people know what they're talking about and therefore it's going to be like that. And if it isn't like that, are they going to be disappointed? So what do they think it's going to be? And if it isn't like that, are they going to be disappointed? Let's put it that way.
You heard him, guys. Let's go.
It's a different one. That's only, I mean, guess I don't know how many people play Battlefield within this chat, but
I think everyone. I think everyone. You will see what happens, and I'm open to all ideas.
Can I just say, by the way, this is the first time I've used my stream setup in anger. This is the first time I've actually had my Elgato lights on, my camera, all of that. So this is the first time. And my little, check this out. Computer, red alert.
Wait, is it doing something? I can't see it.
turn my lights.
Oh my
red.
goodness. Now I see it. Yeah, the live chat is later. Damn. You're a
Computer, cancel red alert.
that is so cool. I want that too.
It's my little gift to myself. It's my Echo Dot and my Hue Bridge. It's
Kinga
our
said,
universe, a black hole located in another universe.
that is amazing. You like science fiction?
Yeah.
What do you like the most? Like a film, series? What's the best you've seen?
I like
Nako.
I don't know. Like, I don't really. I'm not. I don't have a preferred. I mean, obviously, Star Wars. You know. But
Come
I
on.
don't know.
Nothing.
Well, let's just say Star Wars is my favorite. But I like stuff that makes you think. And if it has some science fiction, I love Stargate. I loved Stargate. That
Oh,
was
I
a
watched
big
that
thing for
too.
me. So let's say series wise, Stargate was probably my number one, and
Did
then
you see The Expanse?
would you call that science fiction though?
It is, of course, it's science fiction. Well, wait,
I
you. No, yes, it is science fiction. What is it else? Future drama?
I don't know. It's science. It's not really science fiction. It's more like
Fiction, future fiction.
thriller. Well, because the X-Files was. It wasn't. There wasn't a lot of science involved. It was just weird shit going on. So I mean,
That's kind of true. That's kind of true.
So I just want to read some of this. I support the speculation hoping the DICE devs are working
Oh,
hard and
yeah.
thinking that. Yeah, well, they're struggling like every dev is, I guess.
Let's go through the comments because Kingers, we miss Kingers here. Personally, I accept along the lines of Battlefield 4 near future. I honestly just want an authentic sandbox experience again. Arco said, I believe that DICE learned their mistake from Battlefield 5, and this time it will be different. Valpix said, I support the speculation and hype. I'm hoping the DICE devs are comfortable working home, thinking of them. I support anything they produce. I just want an on-time game and healthy game. I'm totally with you there, Valpix. I think especially devs are right now under a lot of pressure, and we have to understand that as well. Like, I mean, I'm willing to wait actually even a little bit more when that means, they just bring a healthy game out and they have, reasonable working hours to do do so. Capo said, I'm wanting some info, but I'm not having too high hopes. So if it's not as good, I won't be disappointed at all. Well, you have to keep yourself safe, right?
I think whatever comes out, they're probably going to follow the more Battlefield 3 way of doing it with leaking the trailer step by step, because that seems to be the best. I just want to touch on what Cylon says here about archetypes and classes promised on BFE and never developed in full Westman's customization for the multiplayer. So that's a really interesting question. One of the things I felt Battlefield 5 did not deliver on was the way that things like the tech tree system. So you either had one attachment or the other attachment. So you had fast firing bullets or you had more accurate bullets, or you had this or the other, but you couldn't balance it out anywhere to find a rhythm that worked for you. You were forced to choose this, that, the other. So like when you look at Warzone, for example, the attachments all have various qualities. Now, I would really like to see an element of magazines being an extra 10 round capacity, but it slows you down. Things, or not slows you down, but it brings your maybe your bring to bear time, which is, in case and no one knows, is the time you bring your sights onto a target, is slowed down. But you can compensate for that by having a lighter stock, which makes you more, that sort of stuff, all those exploratory stuff, that I would really like to see. The way they did it in Battlefield 5 grated on me massively, and I didn't like it at all. And I would really like to see a move away from that and back towards this kind of being able to find a setup for your weapon that suits your gameplay rather than having to adapt that's actually the best way to look at it. Finding a way to set up your weapon that suits your gameplay rather than having to adapt your gameplay for the weapon choices you've got. And I think for me, that is
much more sense.
Yeah. So that's what I would rather have.
I like that. Um, that's very interesting. So like I said, I haven't watched one with. I'm with you guys. Yeah. I mean, all we can do is wait anyways till the game is out. For me, I mean, to be honest, I'm muted. Why am I muted? I'm muted. Can you hear me, guys, in the chat?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm good. um, no worries. um, yeah, my brain. I have no idea. I lost my thought.
I think everyone's kind of keen for information. I think there was kind of rumors that we might be getting something this quarter coming up, but there's another thing here. Someone talks about community platform, so community servers, etc. That for me is one of the things that has to be delivered day one. And one of the big mistakes they made with Battlefield 1, as we know, was not having servers. Then they kind of came up with this weirdly concocted way of doing it, which didn't really work. Then what they really made a mistake on doing is fudging around the lines of when Battlefield 5 was being touted around. The obvious question virtually everyone was having, are there going to be private servers? Are we going to have customizable servers? All this sort of RSP. And they fudged around that so much. They said, well, we can't really talk about it right now, but there's, it's something we've got our eye on. What they should have said from the off is, no, we're not doing it. And if we are going to do it, it's going to be 2 years down the line from now. That's what they should have said, but they didn't, because it would have affected, frankly, I think would have affected the number of people buying the game.
Yeah, of course.
What I want to see from DICE is less buying stuff on a promise, or a half kind of, a little carrot dangled somewhere ethereally in the front of you. What I want is solid stuff, yes and no answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand there's stuff they have to worry about, like NDAs, and there's stuff they have to say, we can't answer that question now because, frankly put, we're not in a position where we can. But at least say something which is more definitive like that.
But they never brought RSP out, by the way, in any game to the beginning, I think, as I remember at least. I think on Battlefield 3, they brought it out like 6 months later. Battlefield 4, like also like 6 months later, something like that. And I actually could live with that if I knew we get a game and RSP which is working, and we get a full RSP and not like community service. Service.
I would like to see a standalone program, because the problem I find massively with the way they've done it now is you can't play the game and admin the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that.
Yeah,
if you want to be an effective admin, you need to be able to be in the game and have a what was the system? What was it called? The system where you could use RSP and you could God, what was it called? The program. Doesn't matter anyway.
Private servers or what?
No, the actual things that you use to admin the private server. And there was a program you used in BF4, and you could swap people between teams. You could do all that sort of stuff. Anyway.
I think it's only on PC. I didn't have that on.
Okay,
PS4.
Right, sorry.
We only did that in game.
Okay, so but then you had things like they had the companion app, which could have been turned into something. Procon, thank you, Carpo. Procon. So Procon was a system where you could literally see who was in the teams. You could see who was killed. You could see all the chat.
For real?
Everything. Yeah. It was an amazing tool. And for server admins, it was an absolute godsend, because people would say, oh, he's such and such and such. And then you could look in the chat log and say, he never said that. Or someone would type a banned word in team chat because they saw you were on one team and said, oh, he's not going to be able to see this, so I'm going to type it here.
Banners.
Bang, gone. And you knew, and this is the thing, it's like being able to wield a ban hammer. Like, so for a lot of people, the ban hammer is a problem. It's a wielding of authority a lot of people are not equipped to deal with. But our system in BSM was, we had a check, a warn, kick, ban system. So the check was, we had 3 admins in. 3 admins would look at what was going on. Administration. So we would have 3 admins would make a decision on whether or not the guy was dodgy. Then we would warn them, saying, we think you're dodgy. Then if they didn't pay attention, we would kick them. And if they came back and continued, then we would ban them. So there was a process that went through. And I think that tool or something that is akin to that tool, even if it is a separate app you can have on your phone or whatever, is absolutely necessary for all across the board. So for consoles and PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because without that, you might as well just like, well, you can admin, but you can't play. So you can not enjoy the game. And that for me is is a community killer, because who wants to sit on the sidelines? You want to be playing the game, right? You don't want to be saying, oh, fuck, now I've got to leave the game because someone's causing a problem. I've got to leave the game, deal with it, and then come back into the game. And I can't even reserve myself a spot. So all that sort of thing. So, the plushie giveaway. Hang on a minute.
Oh, what? Did I start it already?
Apparently,
Damn.
apparently so.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we have to do it now. I never did it. I don't even know how that works. I did it the first time. I was actually starting to create that when before Deadeye. He's gone. Before Deadeye. All right, I guess that was the giveaway, guys. He's gone. Oh my goodness.
We can do 2 giveaways. I've come back.
Ooh, he's back.
I bought some stuff when I went to EA Play from the store. Oh, that's great. All the little stores there. I've got so much stuff from there on my shelves, as you can probably see. But I have this. I've got one of my own.
Guys, I have no idea if the stream element thing works. Let's test it. Otherwise, I have to do it by hand. Just put tickets in there. How do you call this sign up front in English? Exclamation? No, it's not exclamation mark.
Apex drinking bottle.
Ooh.
Apex Legends. Fully functional.
Cool. That is cool. All right, we are going for the Apex drinking bottle. Everyone is putting it in now. Great shit. Let's go, guys. Put it in. I let it run a little bit more.
So I just need to go across car post. That's my bad, mate. It because of various things, it didn't get posted until I want to say Tuesday instead of Friday the week before. So that's my bad. So it should be with you soon anyway. But it's been sent.
All right, Deadeye, if you're still here, I'm probably trying to fix this internet right now. Thank you so much for the podcast, man. I'm so sorry you get cut off like this, man. You guys were an amazing team in the beginning. And of course, SgtDangerCow, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing everything. Here again, the links. And of course, not to forget Joe. Thank you so much, guys. If you don't know, Joe in the backhand, he's our technician. Without him, this wouldn't be possible right now. I'm super grateful to have him here in the podcast team to help us out with all the technical issues, which is really important in order to be here for you guys every week. So please just drop by his channel, give him a follow, show him some love. This is I mean, we all a team here, right? And Deadeye, of course. Sorry. All right, so now I got it. Let's see, guys. Do you see anyone we like to read? How about Energized Night actually is on right now? How about we share the love with him? I can't do the wait. I forgot. Joe, I sent you a message. There we go. Oh, and thank you so much. Did I even say thank you for the giveaways so spontaneously?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, amazing. Thank you so much.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that, really, but hopefully someone will. I'll go and who was it who won the plushie? Can't remember, but whoever won the plushie as well. It was very welcome, and I'm glad that hopefully
they're super cute. I love them.
Joy.
They will. I mean, Kingers, I think he has a couple of kids as well. So, so they will probably like whip it off him right away and say like, I take it. So we will wait now. Joe, can you put it in, or do you need me? Oh yeah, there we go. All right, bye guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Thank you. Later. Have a great week. Enjoy. Much love.